What's going on, everybody? Today I'm sitting down with the undefeated Todd Pickett to get his thoughts leading into his fight on June 13th at LFA 210 at Freedom Hall in Louisville, Kentucky. How's it going, brother?
It's going good. How are you?
I'm great, man. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to me. I know you're busy. It's a little over a week till fight.
There's eight days. Yep, 8 days.
So I know you're extremely busy. I've been to many of your fights, and you've always put on a good show. So I want to get started and not take up too much of your time, but the first question I've got is kind of what got you into fighting? What inspired you, or is there anybody in particular that you looked up to when you're starting your career? Just give me a little breakdown of your career so far.
Yeah. So I was a big WWE fan growing up, like 6, 7 years old. Watched WWE a lot, and my uncle, he actually showed me the UFC when I was like 9 or 10. He was like, that wrestling stuff's fake. Like this is the real stuff. And he showed me Chuck Liddell versus Tito Ortiz, the second fight, and I was like, man, this is awesome. So I became a UFC fan when I was like 9 or 10. Got the video games, got the action figures and stuff, and just became a fan of that. And I wanted to get into martial arts, but I just couldn't at the time. And then when I was 15 years old, I started training martial arts.
Was there any kind of process into selecting a gym, or did you just go to whatever gym was available to you when you started?
Actually, it was my mom that got me into jiu-jitsu. I was getting into a little bit of trouble, and I was just not doing nothing with my life, really, just staying at home, playing video games all day, like not doing nothing. And my mom, she wanted me, to get into something, find something to do. So she knew someone whose son was doing jiu-jitsu at the time, and she suggested it to me, and I went and started at Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Kentucky, and I've been training there ever since.
Awesome. You had your first amateur fight against Anthony Mitchell in 2022, where you got the first round win there. Every fight I've been to, you've had a ton of support from the crowd, and especially your family. So obviously you just said your mom got you into fighting, but what did the rest of your family think when you started fighting, and how important is family to you and their support of your fight career?
Yeah. No, my whole family supports me with the fighting stuff. It's really awesome. I think they support me, I think, because fighting's just something that it's like the one thing I've done where I truly love it, and I'm good at it. And so they support me a lot, and it means a lot for their support, for sure. They're always at my fights, cheering me on, and it means a lot.
What would your career path, you think, be if you weren't going through with martial arts? Did you have any interests outside of martial arts that were kind of leading you towards anything else?
Yeah, no, not really. No, I really wasn't doing much with my life before I started jiu-jitsu. And that was kind of the thing. Like, I was needing something to get into, like just an outlet, somewhere to put my energy into. So yeah, I feel like if I wasn't fighting, I'd probably be just working like a normal, regular 9-to-5 job, like a factory job probably or something, not enjoying life.
That's the truth. A lot of people get stuck and, they don't have time to find what they like to get into. So it's awesome that you got into such an early age. And I think I think you can start later, but I think it's also important that you have that kind of growing up with the drive.
Yeah.
Has there been anything that's kind of surprised you or that you haven't expected going into this?
I would say just how much I've enjoyed it. Like when I first started jiu-jitsu, I didn't really know if I'd like it, but what surprised me the most was just like the first day when I did jiu-jitsu. I got home and I immediately loved martial arts. Like the first time I did jiu-jitsu, I just fell in love with it, and I knew it was going to be something like this is what I'm going to do.
When did you start to kind of know that you wanted to go into maybe MMA as a kind of a rounded profession rather than just maybe like professional grappling or jiu-jitsu competition?
Yeah, no, like I said, I've been a fan of the UFC, and like I watched MMA and stuff like that, UFC fights, but I never did any martial arts or got into it. And once I started jiu-jitsu, I started watching more of the UFC and like watching like fighter stories and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm not doing anything with my life. I don't have a direction of where I want to go. Like school wasn't my thing, so I knew college wasn't like going to be an option for me really. So I was like, this is what I'm going to do. So I looked into like got a lot of inspiration from Conor McGregor and his story, and John Jones and fighters like that. I was like, if they can do it, why can't I?
Talk to me some about Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. I know your team seems incredible every time they're at the fights. They're so supportive and knowledgeable and giving you proper call-outs. I watch a lot of fights, and the corners are just kind of like, I do this, like go like hit them or something. There's never any like at least your corner gives some really good call-outs and stuff. So talk to me about your team a little bit.
Yeah, no, my team's great. I've been training there for 8 years, and my head jiu-jitsu coach, Scott Smith, he's been like a father figure to me since I started. He's a big role model for me, and all my team really. Like, I have tons of great teammates. Like, they're like a family to me, honestly. And they're just people I can go to if I ever need advice for anything, or if I need help with anything jiu-jitsu related or moves or something. I have an awesome team behind me.
What's the hardest part of a fight camp for you?
The hardest part of a fight camp would probably be I love rolling in jiu-jitsu. That's one of my favorite things, is to just roll long sessions in jiu-jitsu. And in fight camp, it's more like you have an opponent and you kind of have to work on your things that your opponent's good at. So it's more like breaking down certain positions, more like drilling, stuff like that. So I would say like not being able to roll as much as I would like to probably be the hardest.
Is that kind of why you did some of those professional grappling matches? I seen the one in Made Men. Was that on a short notice? I seen it was canceled.
Yeah.
Your bout with Brandon Scott there. I didn't know if you picked that grappling match up for a short notice fight or something.
Yeah. I was supposed to fight that night, and I think like a week or two before, my opponent pulled out, and I took on Matt Harrison, who's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I took him on like a week or two notice for that, and that's something that helped me out a lot, was just competing in jiu-jitsu a lot. Like, I've done tons of jiu-jitsu competitions. That's helped me a lot for sure.
As you move through your opponents, you showed some really awesome skills both on the feet and on the ground. Is there anything in particular that you'd like to kind of implement more into your fighting as you go through your career?
Yeah, I would like to implement my striking more. I think I really haven't showed how skilled I am in the striking in my fights yet. So I've really been working on that a lot with my boxing coach, Junie Millar. So yeah, the striking is definitely something that I would like to implement. Wrestling too. I would like to implement my wrestling skills a little more in my fights as well. Get the fight to the ground so I can do my jiu-jitsu.
You fought some really skilled guys too. You got Liam Hamill, Damian Douglas, and just some really other skilled guys on your resume here. What's been your toughest time in the cage so far?
I would say my toughest fight would probably either be my second fight with Liam Hamill or my last fight with Damian Douglas. My second fight with Liam Hamill is the one fight up until that point that I had that went out of the first round, and that was a tough fight. He cut me. I busted his nose, so there was some blood. It was the first time I had been to the stool, so it really showed me that I can push through. Like I train cardio a lot, so and in the gym I have good cardio, rolling and striking and stuff. So I never really worried about that, but never experiencing it in a fight, there was always that question in my mind, like, how's my cardio going to be in that second, third, fourth round of a fight? And in that fight, it really showed that, I do have great cardio. Going into the fifth round of that fight, when he quit on the stool, I was still fresh. I still felt fresh going into that fifth round. So I feel like that was one of my toughest fights.
Yeah, there's a lot of these kind of amateur fighters moving up through the local promotion and stuff, and a lot of them don't go more than 1 or 2 rounds max. So that's always a question I have, is are these people going to be able to make it into the later rounds, especially as, like, me and Philip Perkins were talking yesterday about a lot of these fighters, they go pro without getting a lot of reps in, and then they kind of maybe fall off or don't have the experience in. They get to pro and, they've only fought 4 or 5 times. So I think that's important that you said that, knowing that, eventually you're going to go pro, I would assume, and then you're going to have, longer fights if you start, fighting for more titles and stuff, or just in general having longer rounds. But I think knowing your own gas tank and having that is an important part of your fighting skill, obviously. The LFA, speaking of moving up in your career, you got the LFA coming up. It's a really awesome opportunity. I think that Louisville gets to host LFA again. and you get to go out there and show your skills off on a little bit of a bigger stage here. So talk to me a little bit about the process that you have been going through after you got offered the fight against Gates Cook.
Yeah. I was offered the fight against Gates Cook after my last fight, a few weeks after my last fight. And I didn't know if I was going to be able to fight on the LFA card. I knew my teammate Lance Lawrence, who's the main event, I knew he was going to be on the card. Obviously, he's a pro, but I didn't know if they were going to be doing any amateur fights on that card. So I was honestly looking at fighting May 31st for the Hard Rock card that just happened. But luckily, I was talking with Eddie Donaldson, and he let me know that they're going to do amateur cards, and they would like for me to be on the card. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to fight on such a big stage like LFA as an amateur. I think it's great experience for me fighting on a big stage like that. So yeah,
going from Broadbent Arena, now they're going to Freedom Hall, getting some more seats in there. I think it's going to be an awesome opportunity for everybody to sit down. And of course, you mentioned Lance is headlining, and I know kind of speaking on maybe taking fights on short notice and stuff, he's known he's going to fight, but he just had a switch in opponent not too long ago. And I know that's got to be hard for a training camp. You've been prepping for this one guy that's maybe particular skills that they have or something, and then you have to switch over. So I think it's going to be an interesting fight either way, but I'm really glad that Kentucky's getting, like, a lot of these guys are local guys that are fighting on the LFA card, and I think that's cool that they get to do that. So have you had any kind of mindset changes other than your normal training camp since knowing you're going to go into the LFA this time?
Not really. No, I haven't really had any mindset changes. I'm just looking at it as another fight. It's just another fight, another man standing in my way of my goals. So I know it's going to be a bigger stage for sure. So kind of have to prepare for that bigger stage. It's the biggest crowd I've ever fought in for sure. I've only fought on Hard Rock cards, and this is going to be in a stadium. So I think there's a little pressure because of that, and it is LFA. It's like one of the biggest regional promotions outside of the UFC. So, there's a little pressure, but it's nothing. It's just another fight for me.
Speaking of that, where do you see your career going? Like, do you have a plan post LFA for what you're thinking you're going to be getting into?
Yeah. After this LFA fight, when I finish this guy, I want to go pro this year. That's my goal. Get through this fight and then go pro later this year, maybe like late this year, maybe November. And then, start my pro career. I want to fight. I want to be active as a pro. So, we'll just see. Just take it fight by fight, get through this fight first, and then make my pro debut later this year. That's my goal.
I think that most of my favorite fighters that I kind of follow and like to watch the most are those that kind of don't lose touch with who they were before they started winning and when they start going up. You're always very humble in your post-fight interviews, and I think that's incredible to be able to be so skilled and talented in your field and still be so down-to-earth and personable. Are there any characteristics that you think are most important for a fighter to have that makes them successful?
I'm not sure. I feel like everybody's different. Every fighter's so different. For me, that's just who I am. I'm not this guy that likes to brag a lot and likes to, build myself up and talk about everything that I'm doing or whatever. I like to stay grounded, stay humble, and I feel like for characteristics as a fighter for me, respect's a big one. Being humble, whether you win or lose, humble, and I think as a fighter, I mean, you need discipline for sure. Discipline's a big characteristic to have. You got to work hard as a fighter. I would say those for sure.
Kind of in the same vein of that, you obviously train extremely hard and dedicate a lot of your life to the sport. If somebody's wanting to get into fighting or combat sports in general, what advice do you have for them?
I would say some things that's helped me is consistency. Just being consistent, being in the gym, working on your craft, trying to improve. Like I said, discipline. You need discipline for the fight game for sure. You got to work hard, and I would say competing. Competing a lot helped me. I wish I would have competed more when I was like 16, 17, just like getting kickboxing fights. I did a lot of jiu-jitsu, but I only had one kickboxing fight. I wish I would have had more of those. So, Yeah, I would say those three.
To you, what's your biggest accomplishment you've had so far?
In fighting.
In and out of fighting, you can do one of each. That'd be fine.
I would say my biggest accomplishment in fighting would be getting ranked number 1 in North America. I remember being like 3-0. I don't pay attention to the rankings much, but I remember being like 3-0, and my uncle mentioning like where I'm at, like the Kentucky rankings and stuff on Tapology, and I was looking at it and I was like, man, that'd be cool to like be like ranked number 1 out of like over 2,000 fighters. Like that'd be pretty cool. And then my last fight, I got that, so I think that's cool.
Awesome.
I mean,
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, I mean, amateur rankings don't really mean much to me, but it's like it's just cool. Like, you know, my hard work's paying off. You know, like I'm 7-0 now, 7 finishes, and ranked number 1. So I feel like that's for fighting. That's my biggest accomplishment so far. And I would say like outside of fighting, I would say just starting martial arts really. Like I wasn't doing much before I started martial arts that was like productive at all. So I feel like just finding my purpose in life. I feel like I've done that, and so starting martial arts would be my biggest outside.
I don't want you to give anything away about your training secrets here, but do you have a prediction for LFA 210 where you're?
Yeah, I mean I'm gonna be looking for the finish, so I can predict a finish from me, whether that's the first round, the third round. It doesn't matter. I'm going to be looking for the finish the whole fight. So
I'm excited to see it. Well, I want to end on one more question. I like to ask everybody this because I'm a big music head. But what have you been listening to this camp? And have you got a walkout song you're picking out? Or
yeah, I got a walkout song. Yeah, I'm debating, but I think I'm going to go with "Can't Stop" Red Hot Chili Peppers. It's like a classic walkout song. But I haven't really been listening to too much music this camp. But music that I do listen to regularly is like I listen to a bunch, but like reggae. I'm a big Bob Marley fan. I like reggae, old school rock. And I listen to some just like some lo-fi too. Like I'll listen to like just beats, you know, like Japanese lo-fi or like something like that.
Do you kind of have any kind of ritual or anything like mindset wise you do before a fight? Is there anything that kind of grounds you before the fight?
Yeah, like my fight day, I like to just keep it chill. Like I'll like watch some funny movies. Like my last fight, I watched like Step Brothers and Hangover. Like I was just watching like some comedy movies, and then like closer, I'll get outside, you know, walk around outside barefoot in the grass, get some sun, listen to some reggae or something, and then getting closer to the fight, like I'll listen to like some more like I don't know stuff that like hypes me up, some beats or something like that, and just stretch around, shadow box, just visualize the fight.
It's gonna be crazy to step into a cage. I can't. I have so much respect for everybody that does it. I just walking out and getting in there, and then you hear the door close, and there you are.
There's it's I don't know. I've never felt anything like it, man. I love it. I love fighting, man. When you get in the cage, it's weird because I'm like a pretty like I don't know like shy, conservative kind of guy. So people are sometimes like taken back like that I fight in front of like a huge crowd and stuff. But it's like just when you walk inside the cage and it's locked, for me at least, it's like everything gets blocked out and it's just like you and your opponent in there. There's nothing like it.
Everybody I've talked to has said if you know you're not nervous when you go in there, you shouldn't be fighting. And
oh yeah,
do you get nervous? I'm assuming.
Oh yeah,
everybody does.
Oh yeah. Everybody gets nervous. I try to just stay calm and just I used when my first like few fights, my first 3 fights that I had, I was super nervous. Like I was like I cannot lose in front of all my friends and family. Like I was like I have to win. Like if I lose, like my life's over. It's like but like you know when I fought Liam Hamill the second time is really when I was like just I let go of the outcome of the fight. Like just it doesn't matter if you win or lose. Like if you lose, it's cool. Just lesson learned. You know, my friends and family are still gonna love me. It's like my life's not gonna be over. You know, it's like life goes on. But yeah, I for the fight, of course, you're gonna get nervous every fight. But I just like to just try to stay calm, be present, take some deep breaths, and just try to like enjoy the moment.
I think the loudest I've ever heard it inside of the local scene has been at your fights when you're fighting the people. Like crowd goes crazy. So
yeah, I have tons of support, man. It really means a lot to me. I got especially my last fight. the crowd went crazy my last fight against Damian Douglas. Like I could feel the energy, you know, and it was something special.
Yeah, he did. Did you trip or was it a knockdown? When I know at
Oh,
one point.
he knocked me down. Yeah, I threw a. I was that's another mistake that I made in that fight. Like I was just thinking way too much. Like most of my fights, I go in there and I just let the fight happen. Like whatever happens, happens. And I feel like that way I fight my best. But in that fight, I was just thinking way too much, man. And I threw a blind kick, head kick, and he caught me with an overhand right on the chin, dropped me. But I was able to recover and stuff, and eventually get the TKO finish. But yeah, he did drop me.
Yeah, that place, you could hear a pin drop there for just a second. Then after he
Oh
started
man,
back, it started. So, how much does the noise inside affect you? I mean, do you is there
I
like
there's
an effect?
there's some. Honestly, I don't really hear it, to be honest. Like I hear my coaches, but like you would think that you could hear. For me at least, I don't hear the crowd. You know, I honestly don't. Like I hear my coaches over the crowd.
I know it's got to be part of like a strategy, obviously, but like when you're on the ground and stuff, you obviously want to work them to your corner so you can hear your corner better. Has there been a time when you've been kind of? I know you don't have a ton of fights where you've been in a disadvantaged position, but
Yeah.
has there been a time where you were like, I need to get closer to the corner so I can figure out what's going on? Or?
Yeah, no, I haven't had a fight where I'm like consciously thinking, okay, I'm close to this guy's corner. Let me try to get the fight over to my corner. There hasn't been a fight like that. Most of my fights have ended in the first round, or like my last fight ended early in the second round. So yeah, the really the only round that's went, the only fight I've had that's went over 2 rounds has been the second fight with Liam. So I really haven't had that much time inside the cage.
I know it's got to be like really probably the best part of it is to you've trained so hard and then you get the payoff. And I just like it makes me so aggravated when like people like you said had to cancel. Like even you had a little bit of time there to pull out, or to
Yeah.
rearrange, but like it has to be so frustrating when somebody pulls out of a fight or like something happens. Maybe it's out of their control even, but you've been training so long and getting your body ready for this and mind ready for this, and then it has to change up. So
Yeah, it's tough because like there was one fight that I had. I think it was when I fought DeAndre Tipton. It was my fifth fight. I think I was supposed to fight Graham Hunter, who's like a really good striker. He's well known. He has like a few knockouts on his record, and I was super excited for that fight to test my striking against him. And he pulled out like two or 3 weeks before the fight, and I was like, man, like had an opponent change, and so it was kind of like a different style. So, yeah, it sucks when you have opponents pull out because you spend a lot of your camp, preparing for a certain style, and then they pull out. It's kind of like what's happened to Lance in this main event.
So when that happens, did you try to pivot like how hard of a pivot did you have to do from your original game plan to did you just kind of stick with like this is what I've been learning, I'm just going to try to stick with that, or did you like really try to adapt to the new opponent in that short amount of time?
Yeah, well, luckily for me, that the opponent changed. They kind of had a similar style, so I didn't really change much. I just kept focusing and doing what I was doing. But the skill level was kind of less. Like Graham Hunter, his striking was pretty high level, and then the guy I fought, his striking was still decent, but it like wasn't on the level as Graham's. So I just stick to what I was doing, same game plan.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Todd, thank you so much for coming on. I love sitting down and talk with you. Like I said, I've been watching you fight since I started watching local promotions, so it's cool to get to sit down and actually talk to you for a little while. So is there anything else that you've got going on that you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, I would just like to plug my Instagram. On Instagram, I'm at Todd Pickett MMA. And then also I'd like to give a shout out to my sponsors who's been supporting me this fight. And shout out to my teammates, my friends, my family, everybody that supports me.
All right, everybody. Well, go out and fill up Freedom Hall on June 13th. Get your tickets now for LFA 210. It's going to be an awesome card. Come out and support Louisville. Make sure the LFA comes back because it's always a great time. Last time was awesome, and I can't wait for this time with the new bigger venue and everything. I know that's going to be just as electric, even more so than last time. But go get your tickets and come out and support great fighters and awesome athletes and their teams, and we'll see you there.
All right, thanks for having me on, man.
Mm-hmm.